Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Rockwood number RM760. This is what's called a concealed edge pull, knife pull sometimes people will call it. Knife pull because of the shape of the bar that you grab onto to pull it open. This is shown in the 605 finish, and 605 means three things actually in this instance. It means that it's made of solid brass. Not that every piece inside of here is solid brass, but I'm sure that every piece isn't. There's probably a pin inside of there that's not solid brass. Solid brass, polished finish with a lacquer. That's what 605 means. Okay. Important to note that it's 605 and not 632, which is still polished brass, but 632 means it's made of steel. This is specifically made of brass. Knife edge pull, you can kind of see why they call it that because of the shape of this piece here. This hook literally will just reside in its place until you push that up, pull it out. You can install these where the screws are too tight and then you're not going to get decent action out of the movement of this. So if you find that to be the case, loosen something up ever so slightly. These practical and attractive edge pulls are made to order in our factory. The simple, seamless construction is available up to 12-inch long, available in most architectural finishes. So Rockwood can make this super long if you want. And I've seen these maybe 8-inch in length, but this standard 4 1/4 is the typical size for this. But again, it can be done longer. I suppose you might want to consider longer pulls if you have taller doors, just 4 1/4, just so that everything was proportional. Overall depth of the unit, 1 inch. Overall width, now 3/8. Now where are you going to use this? You're going to use it in a swinging door that, well shoot, I imagine you could use it in a sliding door as well, but it wouldn't be so concealed at that point. Well, it ain't concealed when it swings. The bottom line is you're going to mortise it to the edge of the door so that if you had let's say you had 4 doors, you had 2 that were left-hand reversed, 2 that were right-hand reversed. You've got them hung on pivots, and you don't want to see any hardware. Okay, well, or see as little as possible. You're going to mortise this into the elevation of the door so that all you literally see is just this componentry here. And you'll very often see concealed hardware when you are literally trying to install doors and have no showing hardware. So those pivots would very likely be center-hung pivots, because you're not going to see much of a center-hung pivot whatsoever. So in a case where you're trying to conceal the hardware, that's what you would do. You could, I suppose, put it on a sliding door, although you'd have to make accommodation for this elbow when the door closed. But when you open the door, you'd certainly see the face of this. I'd never heard it installed in a sliding door, but it can be, I suppose, made to work in a sliding door application. So you've got the dimensional properties. What I would do to mortise this, I would just use my router. It would be as if I was cutting a hinge, just an unusually narrow hinge. Plunge router in, square the corners out. I like to use my caliper. If I have the liberty of the hardware coming to my shop before I machine something, I won't necessarily just work off the technical drawing. I'll put a caliper on it in addition to reviewing the technical drawing. The technical drawing does show us the dimensional properties of this item, and everything that we look here. The only dimension we've not taken is the 2 9/16 confirmation of it being at its maximum projection. Yeah, I'd say that'd be accurate, 2 9/16. Okay, 1/4 inch projection when it's in the closed position. Maybe a little light on that. Okay. The technical drawing tells us the thickness of the door edge pull, 1/8 of an inch. And it does give you a plan view of how to install it, like you're looking down the door, an elevation view, and then a right side view is what they're going to be giving you. Kind of a right side view. No, yeah, it's a right side view, forgive me. A right side view, if you're looking at a right-hand reverse door, is what you'd be looking at there. Okay. It's going to include a couple of fasteners. Those are, they're not brass, so they're steel, which is not necessarily a bad idea. Brass makes for very soft material, Makes for screws that are easy to strip. So those screws will be in a complementary finish but made of steel. Completely reversible. You've got countersinks on both sides of the preparation, so you can install it on either swing of door, left-hand reverse or right-hand reverse. There is also a link below this video to a document called Product Brochure, which is very handy because that will allow you to review other edge poles that they have. And looking at this, I can tell you the RM760 is not uncommon, and actually we sell those all often. But the other poles that are on here as well, the RM751, the RM752, we probably sell more of those than the RM760s. All the poles that are on there are just different by whether or not they have a return, by whether or not the doors have a square edge or a beveled edge, or if they're double acting. So it's very easy to review how that's all made. We can also make those in pretty much any length that you want, any base material. Well, not any base material, but stainless steel or brass base materials is what you'll see that material made in. Okay, so a nice way to look at an overview of that material. Finally, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page within our website where you can review not only all of the Rockwood products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. I'm incredibly partial when it comes to Rockwood, and it's because I see the quality of their product every week. The fit and finish is always exceptional. And what's even better than that is their customer service, technical support. These are folks that have a command of the product line every time I call them. And I don't call them to ask to define for me what polished brass is. I call them and ask, you know, expert level questions. And that person who answers the phone, they are ready to explain it. And it's really amazing that everyone you get at a company can answer deeply technical questions and do so in a very professional way. They are like clockwork when it comes to predictable, reliable shipping lead times. There are occasionally times that things take longer, and it's because of additional processes. Having RM760s made in a 605 finish, that's going to be pretty predictable and reliable. Much of their product line they can ship out really fast, like 3 working days. There are other items like their leather-wrapped pulls. That stuff's going to take longer than the typical 2 weeks because of the severity of the additional processes that are involved in that. Any questions on the RM760 or any other Rockwood product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.